do some sketchy shit. Doo-dah, doo-dah, hope I get away with it. Oh, da doo-dah day.
Hi, I'm Dan Hollifield. Welcome to Last Man Standing. Stupid O'Clock was pretty good tonight, even though Joe Dog did not show up. He is still recovering from some food poisoning from a restaurant dinner he profoundly regrets having been part of. Um, Chris and Dawn are at Uncon down in Dalton, which is a convention run by the Dead Pirate Society. It's a whole lot of fun. Next year, y'all really need to go, well, we all need to go, but won't be as fun as Hallowcon. But then again, if we all show up, it'll have to be because we'll be there. We have 25 days until LibertyCon in Chattanooga, which means we're going into panic mode here, figuring out what we have to take with us and what we have to leave behind. We don't do any vending there. Lindsay will be on um, the hospitality suite, the con suite staff. So she will probably not get to see any of the panels that I will be on. I think I've got 4 throughout the entire weekend, not counting opening ceremonies and closing ceremonies, which, I don't really contribute to except going, hey, yeah, when you holler my name, I hold my hand up. And other than that, it'll be a really, really good time, and I'm looking forward to it, despite the 3-hour drive to get there and the having to figure out which floor of the parking garage I can fit the van into, and hauling all the clothes and stuff down to the room. I mean, I'll take books in case somebody wants to buy some, and Lindsay and I'll take clothes, and won't be any gear like we have at Hallowcon, where uh, we've been vending for the last couple of years. So it, it's a lighter load, but it's moving a bunch of stuff, and it we always have a good time. Um, don't know how much longer I can stand to be able to drive to Chattanooga and back over a weekend, but as long as I can do it, I will do it. And just, hey, um, painkillers are a thing. They're not good for me, but I can take them. Non prescription, I might add. And legal. I mean, you buy them at Dollar General. That's the kind I mean. Um, anyway, Aunt Donna's with me tonight,
Hello
and
there.
nice to see your bright and shiny face.
Glad to hear that you're taking clothes to the con next week, or whenever it is.
Uh, next month, middle
Next
of
month.
next
Well,
month.
I'm just glad to hear you're taking clothes.
Why? You've always been fine with seeing me without them.
I
Um,
don't want to share that with everybody. No, we always carry our books in our van at all times.
yeah. Um, well, I would do, except I've got to carry lots of other stuff in the van for the rest of the year. So basically, we've got great big Tupperware totes, and we
Hmm.
have replaced all of the suitcases with great big Tupperware totes. Just put them in the back of the van, fit the cooler in there, back out of the driveway, and go.
They
Um,
do stack easier than suitcases.
yep. Uh, and Mike Jimmy is here. Uh, that's quite all right. That's quite all right. And Thesis is here. And yeah, well, um, I have been a couple of places where I was able to get by with just a loincloth, but that was a fun vacation, especially when I had
I'll
to play
bet.
EMT to somebody. Um, Little college girl decided to go down the rock slide and the waterfall face first, scraped all the skin off her chin. None of her friends or she had any first aid gear. Fortunately, the redneck at the top of the rock slide had a complete camping gear with probably a 5 pound first aid kit in a Ziploc baggie. It wasn't in a big heavy container. I just had everything I thought I would need if I got hurt. So
Hmm.
I patched her up, and college kids went on back up the hill. I told them take her to an emergency room. She might need stitches. I don't know. Um,
So,
gauze, and tape is the best I got right now. Um,
Mike Jimmy, did you have your towel yesterday? I had.
oh, was yesterday towel day?
Yesterday was towel day.
Oh,
I always know where my towel is anyway.
I need to reread that. I love that. I actually do. Um,
No, we play this game Munzie,
hmm
and Aunt Donna is known for getting wounded, shall we say. And we were down in Terre Haute. It's a little Indiana, well, not so little. It's a university town, but it's about an hour and a half away. And had lunch at the Hardys, and like, oh, there's a. I'm gonna let's put a couple Munzies out here. So I figure out where I'm going to put mine, and I've got my face down like this. Now, our Hardee's in Danville does not have any of those concrete parking things in front of them.
Oh dear, I think I know where this is going.
Yeah, I stumbled, fell flat. My glasses flew off. Carl found them under the van. Could not get up. And fortunately, no one saw us because the way I was laying, the only way he could get me up was to stand in back of me and pull me up.
Hmm.
And so it probably looked a little funny to some people. But yeah, I had a big old scrape on my knee. I had from here to here on my arm.
Oh,
He gets in the first aid kit and it's empty.
that's inexcusable.
That's how often he got used. So I'm like, before we go, put this Munzie over on that sign. I've already scanned the dang thing. We're gonna put it up, and I named it. This is where I got hurt. So we get in the van and we go down and we find a Walgreens. And he goes in and gets all the stuff he needs, and I put a Munzie out there that says this is where I got fixed up.
Oh, Mike Jimmy actually forgot it was towel day, but he did take a shower. Yeah, that's
Oh,
always important.
my Jimmy, don't give me something like that to think about. So we went to Cincinnati. That's why I didn't see you Thursday. Had a Munzie event, but most importantly, went to the House of Cigars. That place is wonderful, except when we walked in, the pipes over the shop had been taken out. It used to be they had steam pipes over what steamed. Yeah. Now they have these efficient little modern humidifiers. A
That
lot.
ruined the ambiance of the steam pipes.
Oh, kind of, yeah. And
Mike Jimmy says he's not apologizing.
I'm sure he's not. Um,
And he
but I
says,
informed him. I've been sharing the pipes pictures for 3 years now. That's the one I'm going to continue sharing whenever I tell people about the House of Cigars.
mm-hmm. Sounds like my Foxy. She's a bit accident prone. Cut herself with a dull end of a butter knife. Um,
That's not that hard to do.
no, it's not. I was using a utility knife which has a very, very flat back to it. Um, and you have to continually sharpen the actual part that's supposed to be sharp because they get dull very quickly. But I'm working on this machine at work. It's a rapidly rotating cylinder. I'm trying to cut paper tape off of it, and somehow or another, it pushed the dull back of the knife into my thumb hard enough to cut my thumb open. Um, had to file an accident report because I went to the nurse's station to get some band-aids and whatnot. Um, it's just
You're going to
uh,
get kicked, little one. I have a cat right where my right foot should be, and one of these moments I'm going to move it and kick a kitty
this.
unintentionally.
Yes, this is one of the reasons why I have the door to the office shut, so none of the pets can get in here during a broadcast. Because we got we got one that climbs in the closet and sleeps,
Mm-hmm.
and will occasionally make noises that I'm going, okay, which one are you? And then the dog has a bad habit of trying to herd me to bed When the dog decides it's my bedtime,
Sounds like Carl and the cats.
hmm I'm not putting up with that. And then other cats wander through. Lindsay gave me a little container of cat treats that have been sitting back here, and they rarely get opened, but occasionally one will come back here and just be really, really affectionate and really, really affectionate and keeps going on, keeps going on. I'm going, you want food, don't you? And I know you've already had all the food you're supposed to have for an entire day. So I'll open it up. I'll put a few crumbs down there on the floor, and they will scarf it up and then trot off to go back to bed with Lindsay. Um, all I'm good. Let's see. My job is to drive the car, tote the wallet, and feed the cats. Well, no, give the
Mm.
cats treats. Lindsay actually does the hard job of feeding all the cats on a regular basis. She's got her own schedule. Um, Unfortunately, it involves being awake at ungodly hours of the morning. Uh,
You know, my the cats never come in and wake me up, and I
oh,
haven't thrown a cat in years. It must be something that they just pass along to each other. That don't go
it's
in
a
there.
genetic memory.
Don't go in
Oh,
there. Daddy doesn't even
thesis,
go in there.
thesis. Yeah. Uh, mm, I don't even want to think about it. I'm too empathic to be going through that kind of thing. Not that anything you said was
Hmm.
in bad taste or um,
Just painful sounding.
well, yeah, yeah. Um,
Oh, I'll tell you how accident prone I am. A week and a half ago, I turned over in bed and moved my legs somehow, and my knee said, "You little so and so, I'm not going to work for you anymore." And I've been on a cane for almost 2 weeks now.
mm,
It's just now starting to bend.
oh, I've had this pain down the back of my neck and over into one shoulder since January. And I don't know what happened. I don't know how I did it. There's no explanation for it. Lindsay thinks it is one of the after effects of the shingles that I suffered from about 2 years ago.
Hmm.
It's just more nerve pain in places that I never hurt, but because of the disease, it's there trying to chew up my nerves as if they were cotton candy. Um, I don't know. Uh,
That's something that I'm not going to miss not being able to catch.
yeah, I need to go ahead and get the shots for that just in case it'll take care of any future outbreaks and pains. Um, boss took one look at me holding a paper towel to my arm. So get your ass to the hospital. Went home and said, "Yeah, yeah, um, much less expensive
Mm.
and probably better off for you."
Carl is getting pretty good. When we first got married, he wasn't too good with wounds and such,
Hmm.
but I've been wounded so often that he's getting pretty good at patching me up. Uh,
Well, every summer when I go outside and my skin starts to tan from
mhm.
just riding the lawnmower around, working in the yard, whatever. I I keep seeing fresh scars that I don't remember ever getting. There's
Yeah.
one. There's one or two I realize have to be from trying to put a cat in a cat carrier to take it to the vet. But there are others I will wake up and I'm going, what did I do in my sleep? I finally figured it out in the middle of the night. The dog will have a dream and she starts clawing at me. Well, and I get all her toenails have been cut, but not severely, but uh, not enough to dig into the nerves or anything because
Mhm.
we wouldn't allow that. But they're still. I mean, 90-pound dog got some muscles.
Mhm.
If she wants to rake claws on somebody, she will rake claws on
There's
somebody. About like throwing hands, but
a reason German shepherds are used for police dogs.
yeah, because they're usually bigger than the perpetrators. Pick them up by the scruff of the neck, tote them to the car, throw them in. Um, Lord, and she's not even 2.5 yet. She's just barely 2 years old. Um, we're supposed to restrict her diet
Hmm.
so that she doesn't have hip problems later on from being just too heavy.
Yeah.
But she don't look fat. She looks skinny.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. I don't
It's
know.
evenly distributed.
It's all muscle, is what it is.
Don't play with the wire.
There's a reason why we don't let her outside the dog pen in the backyard. Because not only is she colored the same as a deer, she's about the same size.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, we don't want some hunter to go, oh, that's one.
It's a
Um,
good sized one.
really?
Yeah.
Now, which one is that?
This is Calvin,
Oh, okay.
the first one of the bunch.
And the one that won't sit still.
None of them sit still. Oh.
Oh, there were two Lindsays that she had not seen all day. They're kind of semi-feral.
Mhm.
Um, one of them will not go inside the chain link fence. Comes up on the porch to eat, and will not let me within 8 feet of him before he turns around and runs away. The other one, which seems to be the nephew of the one that won't let me get near him, just absolutely adores me, and will come up. I'll have to go out, or Lindsay will have to go out with a flashlight and start calling him after dark, and he'll trot up out of the woods, stand at one of the gates to get in. We'll go, okay, time to go to the house. Walk to the back door, open the back door. Cat runs in, jumps up on the kitchen table looking for food. When they're satisfied, they'll jump down, trot to the bedroom, jump on the bed, and um, this one's got a habit of spending about an hour or two a night um, snuggled between my ankles, purring away. And then the first time I move, like I've got a rollover on my side or something, he's off curl up
Hmm.
against Lindsay's feet for the rest of the night.
Yeah, the cats will curl around Carl because he sleeps like the dead,
Hey, and
and
he's
and and,
warm.
and I mean like the dead. He lays on his back, arms folded. I looked in one time and was like, "Is he breathing?" But the cats will gather around him. Now I'm an active sleeper. They, I'm rolling over every few minutes or so, back and forth. You know, Himoni will come up and I'll be on my right side. He'll put his little paws up here and his little head up here and purrs until he purrs me to sleep, and then he gets down and goes away.
Yeah. Um, kind of miss having one snuggled up underneath my arm or something, or um, like this one between my ankles when I'm laying on my back. Roll over on one side, come on up, flop over and um, his back or her back, whichever one it is, against my chest, and just purr away, purr away, purr away till I go back to sleep. Um, the dog gets active. She's still asleep, but her all four of her legs are going. And I've learned that when she gets like that, I just got to roll over and turn my back on her and try and make sure I've got a cover across my back. Otherwise, I'm going to have scratches that um, look suspicious. Oh, uh,
Well, you
when
wouldn't be telling tales when you say, "Well, she was a dog that scratched my back last night."
I have a reputation to uphold. Oh, oh
Mm.
yeah. I, I have made a little bit of progress straightening up my office from several years worth of clutter. I got myself a new set of inboxes and outboxes and things. It's not as tall as the old ones, but with all the 10 and 12-year old receipts from stores and online purchases and all this other stuff that I didn't need to print out and start with. I mean, I've got like half a trash bag full of crap from the old plastic
Mhm.
inbox, outbox. I've got one that's metal mesh now that should stand up to whatever. And there's still one, one part of it has absolutely nothing in it whatsoever, which surprises me. But I've also got other stuff here where there are things that need to go in a photo album or uh, a newspaper clipping book, and a few things that are um, manuals for old games that aren't in any of the computers I own right now, but I've still got them on old hard drives from dead computers.
Mhm.
So technically, I could fire those up and play them, but without these bits and pieces of paper that I've got scattered around, it'd kind of be a waste of time because I wouldn't be able to start the game without the intro. Um, Identify this object in context of the game. there's a reason why some of these things have been shrink wrapped so that they don't get damaged. Uh, you know, flight simulators were one of the things that I really loved. One of the major forms of video games that I really loved, and there were uh, maybe four or five that enjoyed quite a lot, and they were pretty challenging uh, up until the time the the Star Wars flight sims came out, and you they had this level you could get to, and unless you had the book of cheat codes to figure out exactly what you had to do, you're never going to advance beyond that level, no matter how good you were in the
Mm-hmm.
levels below that. And I go, mm-mm, no, we'll just, now that computer's dead, let me pull the hard drive out and hook up a new computer, and I'm not even going to install this stuff anymore. Too frustrating. Absolutely too frustrating. Um, Now, the game that Thesis was talking about in his show tonight, it sounded really, really interesting, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not the kind of game that I would personally play, but it sounded like it was a really good one. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for people that get into that genre, I suppose is the best word. I would highly recommend it, along with the ones that you play, which are also not my cup of tea, but you have a lot of fun with.
Well, there seem to be a lot of similarities between World of Warcraft and his game.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Do you remember the exact title? And Nine Dragons, was that it?
Thesis, was that Nine Dragons? If you're still in the chat, I was
Um,
thinking five, but seven.
oh,
It was an odd
he
number.
he said there were six, and the other three was supposed to be unlocked later. Nine
Yes.
Dragons from Red Fox Games. Yes, let me put that up here so interested people can read it. Um, Nine Dragons from Red Fox Games. Yeah. Um, and Thesis made it sound really fun for those of you who are into uh, multiplayer. What is it? MMORPG. I forget how to say all that. And besides, I stutter. Uh, Most people don't realize that I stutter. I'm usually pretty good about not stuttering because I plan out what I'm going to say, and I kind of rehearse it a few times before I say it. But when it's off the cuff like this and just freewheeling, yeah, I will stutter. I will stop in the middle of a sentence and not be able to remember what the next word is. I've done it all my life. I've gotten used to it. Doesn't mean it's fun, but that's just the way my brain fails to work sometimes. Um,
Here you go, Mike Jimmy's.
there we go. Massively multiplayer online role playing game. There you go.
I couldn't tell you when I started playing World of Warcraft, but I started in what we call vanilla. I started when the Burning Crusade came out. That was the first upgrade that they did.
One of my friends used to be really into um, something he called a mud, and it was all capital letters, MUD.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that he was into was, um, I want to say it was Star Wars, but it could have been anything. It's been 30, 40 years. Mike Jimmy used to play RuneScape way back when. Um, mm, Now back at one time, I hadn't decided to start writing yet. I was still world building for the stories, but I hadn't actually dedicated any time to putting the story together. And I was playing uh, Doom 2, Heretic, Hexen, Duke Nukem, especially Duke Nukem 3D. Although that one got boring because once you figured out where all the power ups and switch triggers were, it was basically just run around, push this button, run around, push that button, avoid this room unless you want to die. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, the guy that was staying with us played World of Warcraft, and he got me interested in it. And our groups are called guilds, and whereas Thesis was called clans. But out of 12 people in our guild, 10 of us lived in Illinois.
mm,
So we decided we were all going to get together and have lunch. And Carl's like, okay, I'll go with you. And you could tell by the glazed look on his face. Because when you get some people together who all play the same game, don't care if it's golf, World of Warcraft, whatever, you're going to be talking about that game. You're going to be talking about what you do when you go into a certain room, as you say, or when you're playing a certain dungeon. And Thursday
and you
night, we went to supper with the people from Muncie. And yeah, I play Muncie, but they were sitting there talking about all these different things you could do in that, and I'm sitting there going, Carl, I understand how you felt that first time we went to the Doctors of Death lunch meeting, because I'm like, what the hell are they talking about?
uh-huh. That's one of the things that I've noticed about people that are into a certain game
Mhm.
or even several different games. When they're together talking about just the one, they dip into jargon, which they know, but
Mhm.
outsiders have no clue whatsoever. And they just, yeah, live in the same state. Entire clan from Nine Dragons lives in the same apartment.
Uh, and he's probably got this on Nine Dragons too. One of the fun things about um, World of Warcraft is, you're thinking, okay, you're fighting, you're killing things. It's actually a family game. I have one uh, guild who has head of the family, mother, husband and wife, their son, their daughter-in-law, three of their grandsons, and two of their great grandchildren in our guild, and they all play. So yeah, it spans the generations. That and I think that's one of the things that makes it a lot of fun. Except when I get hit on by 14-year-old boys.
I kind of thought you thought that was a limited sort of fun, or at least complimentary.
No, no, not with that one. I told you that story.
Oh yes,
That he kept asking me for a date, and I'm like, I'm gonna be your mother. My mother's only 35, and I was in my 40s at the time, and he knew it because I told him. I'm always upfront with anybody I talk to. Like, yeah. Carl said if the FBI ever came to the door, he would go. She's upstairs. Turn to your right. And thanks a lot, bro.
yeah. Um, Actually, to activate the Wayback Machine, that was one of the things that always pissed me off about IRC chats. You go into a room, and if they didn't know you there, first thing anybody would ask was ASL, age, sex, location. And I'm
Mhm.
going, I'm here to talk. I'm not here to pick up dates.
Mhm.
They always got pissed because I was 20 years older than them and not a woman.
Ah, oh, when I was on AOL, somebody'd come into the cafe and say ASL, and I'm going, old enough, often enough, and none of your business.
Yeah, Mike, give me this. That's it. That's it. And oh, this was the previous comment. She's upstairs. The kid lied about her age, and she has proof they did.
Unfortunately,
Um,
I didn't have any proof because I never record my play.
mhm. Yeah, it's like why? Uh, I'm here to talk to people and learn how to type faster. I'm not here to
Mhm.
pick up dates. It's not. I'm from the South. It's not a family reunion. I'm not cruising for chicks.
Yeah. Blade Thesis had a comment about his clan. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know how many people you need to start a guild in World of Warcraft, but one guild that I belong to has almost 1,000 members in it, and almost all they do is we're doing a dungeon or we're having a raid. Come along, and you just kind of follow behind them as they go killing things and loot stuff.
yeah. Well, I like Thesus's comments about what he used to do. Is just, I'll go help them kill all the bad guys
Mhm.
and let them loot unless there's one thing that I need out of that particular dungeon. I'll make sure I get that, and then hey, have at it. You know, y'all go for it. Nah, I've got everything I came after. I'm just
Mhm.
here to help. Um,
Yeah, that's pretty much what I do too, and what most of my guild members do. Oh, you need to go to that dungeon. Empty your bags. Oh, you've only got bags that'll take 10 items at a time. Here's some 30 item bags. If I've got the money, oh, here's 45 item bags. You loot, I'll kill.
Good night, Mike
See
Jimmy.
my Jimmy.
Good night. Good morning.
Yeah, well, that's
Um,
true.
yeah,
It's
sometimes it's hard
almost
to adjust to people all over the world being on at the same time. But I should be able to adjust to that because I've been dealing with it for 30
years.
years.
Almost one here, it's almost 8 over there.
Yep. So Aurora's probably been fed and it's time to take a nap or oh, she
He
should wake up again soon.
and he's not feeling well.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. lower level dungeons are nothing for his main
Mhm.
character. So, someone needs a dungeon run on a beginner map, I will tank for them and just let them loot everything. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
uh, if somebody doesn't, they might not be able to come out of it on the plus side. So, yeah, that's just being a gentleman right there
Excuse me.
and a hero.
Yeah, and I've had some people say, "Well, I don't need this. Sell it then. You'll need the money. Trust me, you'll need the money." Although with the guild, like when you need to repair, you can choose repair my items and you pay for everything. Or if we've been in a dungeon, the guild usually says use the guild repair, and the guild will pay repair your everything. Because sometimes I've had as much as a hundred gold to have to repair my character.
Uh,
Oh,
if you
mhm.
don't have a higher character, you will not make it out. Yeah, even with the full part. Yeah, I have actually run D&D like that. I had I had friends that would come to me and go, "Nobody will let us use our godlike characters because they're too powerful." And I go, "Challenge accepted." And then I would throw things at them they would never expect. I had them walk into an empty room one time that sucked up everything they had, segment by segment by segment, as long as they stayed in that room before they wised up. And they were trying to figure out where their health and their magic and everything else kept
Was going
dropping
down.
and kept dropping and kept dropping.
Well, Jesus was talking about being a healer. I tried that one time, and I got into two different groups in a dunny. And the first one was a group of young boys that I only joined the group because I knew one of them. And I told them I'm just learning. I'm not that good at it. Well, they complained and threw shade. And I'm like, you know what happens when you tick off the healer? Bye. And then the other one, friend and mine and me, well, guildmate, wanted to do some dungeon. So they've got this search for a party thing. We got added into the party. And this was a particular one where you got on their flying mount and it took you from, let's say, island to island in the sky. And
Hmm.
you'd fight a boss on each one. Did okay on the first two. Heal, heal. The tank or the leader was moving so fast that by the time I got to the third one, he'd already killed the boss and was on the fourth section, and everybody was following him. I'm like, I had just put down my totems to heal, and I'm like, okay, nobody heal. I tried to fly up, tried to heal them before they got, and nope, and they got like two levels ahead of me. Of course, my friend was staying back behind me, so she wasn't in the fights, and they started complaining. Well, what kind of healer are you? I'm like, I'm a pretty good healer if you'd stay around for me to heal you.
Really, I'm I'm the healer that's 2 levels behind you.
Yeah. And you know what character is the hardest to find when you're looking for a group for a dungeon? A healer.
I would expect so.
Yeah. And these guys got told the same thing the other ones did. You know what happens when you tick off your healer? Bye. And my friend and I just left the group and like,
Have
I
fun storming the castle.
Yep, I got rid of that character because I like nah. I go back to my hunt hard. I like hunters, especially now that they have two pets to follow them around.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They could at least be polite enough to ask. Yeah.
And
Sorry, just ran out of mana.
mhm. Yeah, and when you're a mage, you can port to different cities, and you can also do a group port. If you expect my mage to just transport you, mm, I need a tip. You need to give me money. If you come up to me and say, "Would you please point me to this city?" I'll go, "Sure. How much do you want?" "Nothing. Go ahead. There's your port."
Bamf.
Yep. If you're gonna be polite, I don't need your money.
And if you're not going to be polite, you
You
ain't
don't
got enough
need.
money.
Oh yeah, you got enough money. Not the green room, but that's what she said.
And just for Carl.
For when he sees us tomorrow.
Yeah. Of course, I have my own copy of the one I made for Thesis too. Um, Let me scroll back up a little bit. I'm not going to need all of those, so that leaves even Richie's original ready for us. Uh,
Did you
uh,
find it?
yeah, I unlike Joe Dog, I group stuff together and I delete stuff I don't need.
Oh,
Um,
let's see.
and I don't know if you noticed in the intro, all three different videos are just one click. I don't have to go, oh, I've got 30 seconds till this end. Oh, I've got 15 seconds till this. Oh, I got 2.5 minutes till this. No, I combined them and put them in there, and I go, showtime, click.
Mm-hmm.
There we are. Um, One of the things that really annoys me on other people's streams is they'll go go live, and they'll start talking.
And
30
you're
seconds
not
to a
there yet.
minute later, it's not live yet. It's not being broadcast yet.
Mm-hmm.
So they, their show will come on in mid sentence. I figured out if you hit go live the first time, hit go live the second time at about 6 seconds till, when the counter runs out, it goes live, but it still hesitates before it does anything and
Mm-hmm.
starts streaming. That's why I put the first little fanfare of the intro in, just because that's not important. If it gets truncated at the beginning, that's fine. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean anything. It doesn't lose anything. And then we get to sketchy shit, which I don't want to get truncated, and then gets to the actual intro music and video. Um, it's about time I redid the bedtime story, but I really hate to because I love it. Um,
I really hate for you too. Also, I like that. I gotta ask Thesis, how many characters did you say you had? Was it
Hmm.
6
If I remember correctly,
or 3
he
accounts?
has he has at least two accounts, which he's allowed three. So he has one in each hero group, and the second account has one in each villain group. Nine total across three
3
accounts.
accounts. I thought he said 3 accounts. Uh, okay, on World of Warcraft, you can only have 6 characters on one realm, but I'm on 6 realms. I have 27 characters so far.
Mm. Schizophrenia is your friend. Probably a good example of why you write so well.
Because I'm schizophrenic.
No,
Well,
because you can keep so many characters in your head at the same time.
this see this is
A
how I
notebook.
this is how I know who I played when, so that one character doesn't get played all the time. Everybody gets their chance. Isn't that
Oh,
diplomatic of me?
yeah. Uh, a few of the things that I found when I was redoing the shelves over here, handwritten notes for some of the early stories and drawings that eventually wound up on the map and
Mhm.
background stuff that eventually wound up in the typed out notes, but just to find these handwritten sheets, I'm going, you know, one of these days, somebody might actually think these are important. I better not throw them away.
Yep.
There'll, there'll be a collector gonna put this in between two sheets of plastic and go, hey, $100 here. Here's one of his character development sheets. Um,
I have a boot box, not a shoe box, but a boot box
mhm.
that has all the research for Woodstock Dreams, including um, in the story, Starlight does a card reading and a I Ching reading and another kind of reading. I used to have a computer program that had these things on them, and I took my character's birth date
Mhm.
and put it in the computer, ran the predictions, and used that in the book. So I still have those printouts. I still have the um, we did in order to build a character. There's a certain process that you can do. You can do an interview where you have these questions. So uh, I think Carl interviewed Michelle. Michelle interviewed me, and I interviewed Carl. And we wrote down the questions. And in fact, some of those were even used in the book themselves. But these were helped to develop the characters. I've got those in that book. It's all handwritten except for the computer printouts, and it's a box about yay deep, and it is filled. And I'm like, okay, the book's been published. Maybe I should get. Oh, what am I thinking of? I'll never get rid of that.
Yeah. Um, One of the things that I found was drawings of different vehicles
Mm.
going back to high school. When I'm supposed to be sitting in class taking notes, but I've already read the damn textbook cover to cover, so I don't have to listen. I know what the hell's going on. Um, know the material better than the teacher does. But I'm sitting there and I'm got my regular notebook paper and I'm just drawing out all these different things. And some of them are uh, spaceships. Some of them are digging machines. I think one of them was a study of how to make the tentacles on an H.G. Wells Martian actually work on one of the fighting machines. And turns out, if you think of it as a Waldo, you need four cables so that you can twist and turn the tentacle in all the different directions it might need to go. And it's all very steampunk and very mechanical before steampunk was ever anything I knew about. I'm just going, if I'd ever got that engineering degree, I'd be famous right now.
Such is life.
Hey, uh, cutaway views of submarines, um, cutaway views of well, not necessarily tanks, but um hazardous hazardous environment exploration machinery. So
Okay.
basically, it's a tank but no guns, um, or at least not, you know, traditional military guns. Might have a few flamethrowers hidden around the edges.
And
Um,
who doesn't?
really, uh, might need to get rid of some kudzu. Um,
Uh, I was watching a an episode of Bones the other day, and the corpse was all covered with stuff, and the comment was, "How are we going to get rid of the kudzu?" And I thought, I know what that is. Dan talks about that all the time.
Kudzu has, I think, four natural enemies: goats, turkeys, fire, lawnmowers. Oh, five. Me. And believe me, I got no patience for goats and turkeys. Um, if I can't kill it with fire or a lawnmower, I'm out there with a sling blade going, you going bye bye right now. Um, we, Dad had rented some fields that hadn't been plowed since First World War. And they were just, you had to stand up on the tractor to be able to drive across the field. The kudzu was so high. We go in and mow it with a bush hog. Uh, Great big old, might as well be riding lawnmower, but it's tractor
Mhm.
sized.
I know what a bush hog is.
Yeah, I know, but I'm explaining for the audience that didn't grow up on the farm.
Oh yeah, city boys like this thesis.
And then we got out there with the chisel plow, which is just for those that don't know, it's basically just uh, a lot of um,
Sharp, pointy
Wolverine
steel.
claws pulled by a tractor, and they go like 4 feet in the ground, if not 5 feet, depending on how big of a farm implement you are towing. And Dad would be pulling up these things about the size of oak tree trunks, and he's going, I don't know what this is. Kudzu roots. This is the stuff that's down deep in the ground that's sending up all these vines. And he he did it. I was not skilled enough to do what Dad was doing with his chisel plow, and he managed to get it all piled up in one great big old pile. We got the both tractors with both scrape blades and pushed it on up. And then he said, "We'll come back tomorrow. I got a cure for this." Got in the pickup truck. There was a load of old tires and about 5 cans of diesel fuel and a paint sprayer. One of those hand pump paint sprayers.
Mhm.
Drove up to this big old pile. He put car tires all over it as far as he could lift. Uh, Filled up the paint sprayer with diesel fuel, soaked everything down as best he could, got a book of paper matches, stood off about 6 feet, and went, and the match flew in midair alight and landed in the diesel fuel. Had to walk all the way around and do it.
Mhm.
And then whatever little fires that got started, he'd charge up the paint sprayer with the diesel fuel again and just walk around and just spray it and let it go until the tires caught fire. Now, this was not illegal at that
That
time,
time. Mhm.
and it certainly made a cloud of smoke, but we got rid of all them kudzu roots. And we grew about 100 acres of soybean off that field right there, um, until Dad stopped renting fields from other people, mostly retired farmers or the widows of farmers,
Mhm.
and just stuck to whatever little bit of land that we actually owned. But, that that was one of those things that was just so much fun. And oh, he would when we had like an old wheat field that we needed to plow to put something else in there for crop rotation.
Mhm.
He'd take that chisel plow and go around it about 3 times. So it was like an 18-foot fire break. And then he'd give me and my sister and my brother about 4 books of paper matches and tell us to walk out into the middle and start throwing lit matches as we walk closer to the fire break. And this was fun.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we just go. Toot, toot, toot. I mean, they're not even wood; they're paper.
Mhm.
So I got really good at being able to strike a match and toss it about 8 feet and not have it go out. I mean, it's harder. It's harder to do that than it is to learn how to throw out a fishing line with a minnow on it and not rip the minnow off the hook while you're trying to throw it. Um, Now that's some skill right there. I'm still not good at that. Um, Memoirs of an Old Farmer coming soon from Amazon.com. Actually, the working title of this is Midnight on the Tractor of Introspection. I don't know if it'll ever be published before I pass away, but it will be. And it's all kinds of stuff, memories of me doing this and that, and growing up in Appalachia with this huge uh, family of aunts and uncles and cousins, and just right up there where the Smoky Mountains, you could reach out of the kitchen window and touch them. Uh, living poor, learning how to make do or make whatever you needed. Use it up, wear it out, make it do. If you can't afford to buy one, learn how to build one.
Yep.
That's pretty much the story of being a farmer. Um,
Especially maybe a tenant farmer.
yeah, because in that case, you don't have a big budget to go out and buy new shit. You just have to recycle what you got or invent your own depending on
Hmm.
what you need.
Well, you can't buy anything unless the landlord says, "Okay, we can go halvesies on that." And if they say, "Nope, we're not going to do that this year," then you gotta get things fixed.
Or come up with an alternative.
Hmm.
I think that's why there's an awful lot of little two-wheel trailers that get hauled around behind other vehicles on a trailer hitch, and they seem to be made out of 1940s, 1950s model pickup truck beds detached from the truck.
Hmm. There's a lot of them back then.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
and if you can't afford it, figure out how to make it. Actually, y'all might be able to apply that to the game. There might be something that you can improvise given stuff you've got in your equipment stashes that instead of spending hard earned gold for, you go, okay, what you got? What you got? What you got? I think we can do something with this and put something together. I mean, seriously, uh, never underestimate the inventiveness
Hmm.
of a tool using species.
What you're talking about being a farmer. Um, I've had trouble with this knee before, and I was in seeing a doctor one time, and asked me what the pain was like, and I said, "Well, it's like being stuck with a pitchfork." And I get this look about, and I know they're thinking, "Don't be so melodramatic." And I said, "Oh no, I'm a farm girl. I know what being stuck with a pitchfork feels like, and that's what this feels like. I have been jabbed with one.
Hmm.
I still got
Um,
I still got the scar on my heel to prove it."
there was one time when we had to put several tons
Mm.
of soybeans in the barn behind a like a half wall or something so we could pile them up. And the idea was they had too high a moisture content.
Mhm.
There would have been too much taken off if we'd take them to sell right then because they were too wet.
Mhm.
So put them in there, let a layer dry, get in there with a big shovel or scoop, and turn the entire pile over so that the lower layers got exposed to the air. The moisture got a chance to evaporate, and eventually everything would pass the hygrometer test. So low moisture, good
Mhm.
enough to sell. Dad and I were shoveling these things in a dump truck, and he had the steel scoop, and I had the aluminum one. And we would get into a rhythm, one of us where we never got in each other's way, just always
Mhm.
this conveyor belt of soybeans flying into the truck. And all of a sudden, I got out of the rhythm. And next thing I know, I got a steel scoop right across my forehead because I ducked down when he was going up. We wound up in the emergency room, and they were trying to go, well, how did he get hurt? And my mom says, his daddy caught him daydreaming. Nowadays, they'd have both got arrested for this.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, they go, hey, you live on a farm? We'll buy anything. Um,
Yeah, yeah. My
you
folks
got
were lucky.
insurance, right? Um,
My folks were lucky that we lived before those times too. As many trips to the ED as I had to take.
yeah. Um, it took like uh, 3 stitches, and the doctor that put the stitches in my forehead, he sprayed on some kind of brand new local anesthetic, and then started complaining because he couldn't get his sharpest needle through the skin of my forehead to do the stitches. And mom's just sitting back there on, yeah, I told you he was hard headed. Uh, and finally, it got all the stitches done and everything. And then he had some more brand new stuff where he sprayed an adhesive over it instead of having to tape it up. And yeah, yeah. Cap, I've been hurt in some interesting ways before. Uh,
Just part of being a farm person.
yeah, really. Uh, You live on the farm, you gonna find a brand new way nobody's ever heard of to get hurt. Um, and back in the day, you could get away with it without getting your parents in trouble because they didn't actually mean to do it. It wasn't like it was being chased across the field with a horsewhip or something. But
Yeah.
no, and I still remember to this day the way that doctor complained about how I was dulling up his sharpest needle, and it was one of those curved ones like a sail needle that you see
Hmm.
a sailor patch up a sail on an old fashioned ship with, and he's just going, I I cannot get this thing pushed through this boy's skin, and just mama sitting back there going, yeah, I told you he was hard headed.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know all about those needles.
Hmm.
I think I
Well,
was 4 or 5 when I cut my leg on my mom's glass cake pan. You really don't want to put those in a wading pool.
no.
But being how I am, I told the doctor I need to see it before you start sewing up, and I need to see it after you've done.
Hmm.
And Doc Lance is like, okay, if you lay back while I'm doing it, okay, we got a deal. So he sewed me up, and he's like, well, do you still want to look at it? I said, yes. Let's set me up, and I looked at it, and I said, you did good, Doc. And he's like, thanks.
Oh, that's like the time when the drunk driver pulled out in front of my motorcycle, and I had to get a couple of screws put in to hold the lower part of my knee together because it was a tibial plateau fracture, which means basically the top part of your lower leg bone got separated from the rest of your lower leg bone, and I got to see the X-rays about a week after the operation was done. I'm going, you put two Phillips head screws in my knee. He's going, yeah, well, they're titanium. That I mean, you're not gonna, your body's not gonna react to them. And I go, yeah, but if it weren't for the anesthetics, I could have done that myself.
Let's not talk about broken knees. Not
Oh,
tonight.
your legs are hurting. I'm sorry. Uh,
I, I walked normally today for the first time in a week and a half without any limping. But
oh, that's good.
I'm still having trouble going up and down stairs because that I'm gonna have to do some bending exercises. But I got a feeling I'm gonna need someone to 3D print me a new knee and get that fixed because you can only hurt your knee so often.
Yes, I know. Believe me, I know. Um, I'm lucky that I've only ever hurt the one. The other one's fine. Um, but now I can run around in very small circles at 60 miles an hour. Thank you, Steve Austin. Uh,
No, I'll probably get Rich to do it. Um, yeah, let's see. I've severely damaged this knee 4 times already.
mm,
And the worst one was probably when I fell out of the tree. We were so concentrated on my back that it wasn't until about 6 or 7 months after I fell out of the tree that I'm like, I'm watching pigeon toed and I have never walked pigeon toed. That, yeah, you twisted your knee. Here's some exercises. Like, thanks, I guess.
mm.
You know how to get your breath back when you knock your breath out of you?
Don't
Gig-
move for a long time.
Giggle,
Giggle.
giggle. I lay on the ground, and my mom was only about 10 yards away, maybe, hanging up clothes. And I tried to yell, and all that came out was, hell. And that just, it hit me. That's so funny, so for some reason, about that. And I started giggling, and the more I giggled, the more I could breathe. And I finally got her attention. And then when she took me to the ED, there was this gorgeous, gorgeous doctor taking my x rays with the most beautiful emerald green eyes you ever saw. And I had to admit that at age 17, 3 weeks before high school graduation, I fell out of a tree. That was the last time I climbed a tree, and it wasn't because I fell out of it.
I think the next time I climb a tree, I'm going to use a bucket lift. Thank you.
I might if I had a ladder or something, but I was
No.
practicing my gymnastics. I was pretty used to be pretty good at gymnastics when I was a kid. As long as I didn't have to put my weight on my hands. Cannot do a cart. Never could do a cartwheel.
Um.
You know that bone that's right here?
Yeah.
See how smooth my wrist is?
Yeah.
I don't have that bone in either wrist due to some not having prenatal care when she was carrying me.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, I can't. I can do like balance beams and stuff, but when it comes to like cartwheels, my wrists don't have the strength to hold me up doing the cartwheel.
I remember when I was in my college gymnastic classes, and the TA they got for us uh, was a pretty neat guy actually, and he tried us out on the
Right,
uh,
Kathy?
the vaulting horse and the high bar and the rings and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And People were just doing push-ups, pull-ups on the high bar, and they're going, "Well, I don't know what else to do." And I I I jumped up and grabbed the bar, and somehow or another, I managed to pull myself up, get my feet over the bar, and swing around, and I'm there on top of the bar
Mhm.
and push myself upright. So I'm just holding myself on my wrist, which is one of the things you can't do. And then I'm looking down at the coach going, "Now what?" He goes,
Of course, Mac.
"I'll get back to you on that."
Now, the bars, sometimes they were parallel and sometimes they were what to call unevens. I,
Unevens.
I couldn't do the parallels for the same reason I couldn't do uh, cartwheels because all your weight's on your is down on your wrist.
Yes.
But I was damn good on the unevens, and people look at me today going, "Yeah, right." I used to be quite good in sports when I.
Hmm. Oh, if badminton were an
Night,
Olympic
Mac.
sport, good night, Mac.
If what
If
word, Limpy?
badminton,
Oh, it's never any good at that.
I was fantastic at it as long as it was after the dew fell and the grass was wet, and I could take my tennis shoes and slide over and go bing. It was awesome. But there's a limited window for that stuff,
Mhm.
and I'm long past that window.
Mhm.
Um,
I was
uh,
good at. Oh, I loved archery, golf, lacrosse. Not too bad at football, but touch football. Pretty good at basketball as long as I wasn't shooting for the hoop. I was
mm,
I could carry really good. We were in some sort of tournament one time, and I don't know how this girl who came up to my chin managed to run into my face when we collided on the basketball floor.
mm.
Yeah, didn't see each other coming. Bam. And I thought it was okay. And I go back for the night game, and my glasses go bloop. Coach, I'm not going to be able to play because I can't see shit.
Yes.
And
In
back then, they
elementary,
didn't have a 1 hour class fix. So I was out for the
uh
rest of the tournament.
back when I was in elementary school, I was crap at every sport except dodgeball. Then they found out I needed glasses,
Mm,
and I got better at the other ones, but um, I was always, um, to my dad's disappointment, I was always too delicate for football because I wasn't big. I was this skinny little runt.
hey, be glad. I had a 6 foot, 200 and some pound nephew who always got hurt every year at high school football. Swore he'd never go back and still went back the next year. Um, my great grandnephew that we lost here about 4 or 5 years ago. Uh, High school football is basically the reason we lost him. He got hurt, got on painkillers.
Hmm.
Painkillers led to cocaine, and yeah, he killed himself by deliberately ODing at 27. So yeah, don't be sad you didn't play football.
Well, I mean, Dad played football. That was why he was upset that
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't. But he was built on a much more heroic scale than I have ever been.
Oh, honey, you're my hero. You know that, don't you?
I know, but Dad was basically, if you look at comic book illustrations of Superman,
Mm-hmm.
that's Dad. Up until he was in his 70s, he was still 145 pounds and built like a center. I mean, poof, um, muscles out. He could take 100-pound bale of coastal Bermuda hay and throw it 6 feet in the air without having to use his knee to boost it up. I'm going, what the? I'm supposed to live up to this? Um,
Yeah.
no. I will get one of those things you tow behind the tractor that picks it up and throws it. Okay.
Hey, I bucked 100-pound bales. Hey, back in the day. They're not so damned hard.
Yeah, for days at a time. Yeah, probably so. Um, yeah, probably so. Um,
I did so until my mom found out my dad was letting me do it, and then she kind of intervened and was like, "She's only supposed to be driving a tractor, damn it." But
that's
mom,
not ladylike. Um,
by the age of 10 or 11, she should have known that. Yeah, she didn't. Poor thing named me Lady Perfect, and she still wanted a little girl and got me.
I think she got a bargain. She just didn't realize it. Uh,
She came to terms with it, but I see all these little pictures of me at between the ages of 1 and 5, and all these pink frilly dresses with all the laces and crap. And in about 5, I think she let me start picking out my own clothes. Yeah, forget that. I still do not like girly pink.
mm. If we ever showed up on Antiques Roadshow, they'd be saying, "Oh, but the cracks give it character."
Lots of cracks,
Oh yeah,
both verbal and physical.
Lord. Uh,
Are you gonna buy me Mercedes Benz?
we shall see. I can't
Well,
even buy myself one yet.
all my friends drive Porsches.
Uh, well, I got a Toyota Corolla.
I got a Toyota Sienna.
Um, I was trying to surprise Lindsay because I got tired of her complaining about we always had to jump start the Buick because she only drove
Mm-hmm.
it once a week. And it's got that parasitic drain on the battery. And it's just it finally got on my last nerve.
Mm-hmm.
So went to one of those online car dealers, one of the good ones, and I looked up a low mileage Toyota Corolla because I knew
Toyota's good. Good.
good workmanship there,
Mm-hmm.
good design, gonna last a long time. As long as you take care of it,
Right. Well,
it'll
any
keep
car will if you
going.
take care of it. Most cars, anyway.
Yeah.
Well,
And I
you,
had it ready,
yeah.
and I had already arranged for it to be delivered. So that they trucked it to the place nearby, and they were going to load it on a flatbed, bring it out here, put it in the driveway. No problems. I went off to make a beer run. I come back. She's going, "What was that message on your cell phone about a Toyota?" And I just looked at her and I go, well, it
Why'd
was
you leave
supposed to
your
be
phone at home?
because it's on a stand now, and I'm not going to work where I would have it in the big fanny pack or whatever. I go, well, it was supposed to be a surprise. I got tired of you complaining about the Buick. I bought you a Toyota. And she goes, I mean, deer in the headlights classic moment. And then her first impulse was go, you don't have that kind of money. Honey, I do. I've, I've got, that's pocket change now, dear. Um, good Lord. Um,
Yeah, well, Carl was needing a new vehicle because at the time he drove almost all over the state for his job.
yeah.
And we got to thinking about what we wanted. Well, we saw an episode of Top Gear where they took this Toyota truck and put it through a whole bunch of things. Like they anchored it at the beach on a dock so the sea would come in and wash over it. Well, the anchor didn't work and the Toyota got down in the sea overnight. Mechanic was only allowed to use the tools in his toolbox, and if he needed something like spark plugs, that was all he's allowed to do with it. Pulls up the hood, tinker, 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 vroom. Okay. Um, I don't remember everything else they did, but the one that really impressed us was they put it on top of a building that was to be imploded. Now this wasn't like they always use Toyotas when they do like they're up the volcano and across and up to the north, but those are done up special to endure those. This was a regular Toyota pickup truck, nothing special done to it. And this was the last test. They put it on top of this building, and they imploded, and the demolition team imploded the building, comes tumbling down on 7 or 8 stories. And they finally pull it out of the rubble, and of course it's smashed. The top's all smashed in, and the tires are like this. They pry open the hood, tinker, tinker, tinkle, boom. And Carl and I looked at each other and said, "We're getting a Toyota."
Yep. Um,
And it has not disappointed. And then about a year and a half after we got it, Governor says, "No, if you're going out of town, you need to rent a car. And by the way, you have to rent an economy car." Can you imagine my husband? You met Carl in an economy car?
only if it's got a sunroof his head will stick out of. Yeah.
He's the man that would buy cars not by looking at the engines, not by listening to the engines, not by test driving, but seeing if he could get in without knocking his head on the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So at first he was like, "No, I'll drive my own even if I don't get recompensed for it." And then the governor's like, "Oh, you can do this out of your office." Okay. We just bought this truck not quite 2 years ago. Van, because we thought he was going to need it to travel around the state. Well, good news is it's going to last us a little longer because he's not traveling around the state. Yeah, and it wasn't too long after that when he got fed up and said, "I'm retiring in September."
Thank you very much. You're on your own. Good night.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Toyota, it took Lindsay about a month to get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly the right horsepower range for her. It's exactly the right size for her.
Mhm.
And she's going, well, I've been used to driving this tank when it starts. And I'm going, that's why you got this. And she gets in it, turns the key, starts every time,
Mhm.
turns around, pulls out of the driveway. It goes where she wants it to go. It hauls what she wants it to haul. It's perfect. In her words, the speedometer still works. She was used to cars where the speedometer didn't work. Now the one on the Buick does work. Uh,
Yeah.
the one in my van does work. She hates driving my van because it's like almost 300 horsepower, and she'll go, "Oh, I've got a clear road here to cross this highway," and she will stomp the gas pedal. And the next thing she knows, the van's in the next county. I mean, seriously, just this thing. I'm just going. I love this van. I love this van. Um, and I know how to gentle it along so it doesn't
Mm.
uh, it doesn't do .5 past light speed, but oh, but no, the Toyota is exactly the right size, the right horsepower, the right um, age. It's not brand new. It's like a 2016. It's
Mhm.
got it had very low mileage for 2016. It was a one owner, never been wrecked, no blemishes, no scratches, no nothing, except where the the cover for the gas cap is not exactly lined up right. So
Mm.
there's one place when the cover closes, it chips off a little bit of paint on one edge. I'm going, you're going to have to live with that. If I fix it, it'll just knock it off every time because it's not lined up right.
Mhm.
And I can't line it up any better than they did at the factory. So,
Yeah.
we just have to live with it. And she just ignores the fact that it's got a sewing pin head chip out of one 6-inch square on the car that is not perfect. And she likes things to be perfect. Well, turns out after she'd driven it for a while, she decided it was perfect.
Mm. Mhm.
And I've been using the Buick to go make beer runs about every other day. And I haven't had to jump the thing off. But if I was to let it sit for a week, I'd have to jump it off.
Yeah.
So, nee,
Well,
six of
see,
one, half a dozen of the other.
my van at the end, we had to jump it every time I got in it. But not only that, when I finally took it down to the junkyard to sell it, parked in front of the wrong office. Went back out, and Carl had to jump it again just in that short a time to drive over to the other office. So yeah. But truth be told, when we went down to the Toyota dealership, we looked at some cars, and Carl got in and hit his head. So when nope, not getting any cars. We got into one of their SUVs and like, oh, okay, this is fine. This is our elbows are touching. We're not doing this one. Got into the van. Oh, this is nice. This was easy to get in. He didn't hit his head. Our elbows are not touching. Oh wow, there's a lot of space between our elbows. This is the van we want.
Mm-hmm. Uh,
I would have preferred a colored one, but I wasn't paying an extra $10,000 for one, so we got a white van. And that is stupid. $10,000 to get a blue van rather than a white van.
It all depends on what they've got and when they've
Mm,
got it.
mm-hmm.
Um, I bought the van. It's a Kia van by 2006. I bought it in 2007. Um, Went to this same online car shopping emporium that I used to get the Toyota. Looked up my acceptable mileage range and everything else. My brother-in-law is an auto mechanic by trade, and he bought a Kia um, 4x4 because he and my sister were about to have a baby, and he looked up the most dependable, safest, most enduring vehicle in that year and bought that. So I go, hey, Will, he knows what he's talking about. He's a mechanic. Let me
Mm-hmm.
look for this. I found exactly what I wanted. There were two in the United States that fit the bill. One was in Las Vegas and cost damn near $1,000 to have trucked locally.
Mm-hmm.
One was in Florida, cost $100 to have trucked locally. So I went for the one in Florida, and I've
Say
never
Florida it
been.
is.
I've never been dissatisfied. Um, I really love it. I mean, Lindsay has to climb up into it because she's a tiny little thing, and I have to climb up into it a little bit because it's not low to the ground,
Mm-hmm.
but it's got a lot of cargo space.
That's
We've
another
we've gone.
thing. Yeah, that's another thing I like about this Toyota. It's not too high, it's not too low.
Hmm.
It's just about even for me to get in and out of.
We've been all over. We've done 18-hour trips to go to West Virginia and back. We've done the 3.5 hours to get to Chattanooga, the 3 hours to get to Dalton, um, 5.5 hours to get to the family reunions up north of Knoxville. It it's it's done everything we asked of it. I know I will not take it across the Smoky Mountains anymore because you have to hold it in low gear when you're going down the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
So you're steering with one hand and holding the gear shift with the other. This is not a comfortable driving position for me. You let go of the gear shift, it pops back up into drive, and all of a sudden you're rolling downhill. Whether you got cruise control on or not, it's going
Mm-hmm.
70 when you want to do 35.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've started going around the steep parts of the mountains. Um,
That's
Takes a
why
little extra time, but it's well worth it for me. Um,
that's why when we go to Florida, we go down through Alabama rather than across the Chattanooga and down like we were first going when my folks first started spending winters down there. Because going that way, you get into the toes of the mountain, but you don't get into those really high and twisty roads. You got one little twisty road coming back north, but it's just not as bad as going through the other way.
mhm. There was one time When I was coming back, I do believe it was from a family reunion, and I had my sister and my brother-in-law. It was my brother-in-law's van, big old Chevy van, old-fashioned Chevy van. Nothing inside of it except front seats, passenger seats, cargo area.
Mm-hmm.
This was back when there were only paper maps.
I remember those. I know how you read them.
And a course was plotted. I was driving. I had to follow this particular road. We got somewhere in between Tennessee and Georgia and drove up to what I thought was the end of the earth. And we went across the threshold of this hill. I'm going, is this a ski jump or is this a road? Next thing I know, this van is going nose first, almost straight down. I'm going, fasten your seatbelts, kids. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Yeah.
Thankfully, there were no turns. It was just a really, really steep hill. I do not know what that road was. I may never know what that road was. I wish I did. I'd like to avoid it
Yeah.
forever. Um, Scared me to death being the one driving, but hell, they were asleep. I'm the only one awake. They had both nodded off.
Yeah.
Hey, that uh, family reunion dinner. Think a Thanksgiving, a Christmas feast, but with even more people and
Mm-hmm.
more family recipes. I think there were like 6 different kinds of potato salad. Um,
I had a
she,
friend who was traveling south through, I don't remember if it was Kentucky or Tennessee on old Route 41, pulling a trailer, not a live-in trailer, but a
yeah,
hauling trailer. And somebody rear-ended her and knocked her off the road. She got sued. Oh, it was Tennessee. She got sued by the state of Tennessee for defacing a mountain.
like the coal mining companies hadn't already done that.
Like,
Ugh,
really? Oh, this
yeah,
this woman. Oh man, I wish I lost track of her after Katrina. They had moved down to Florida, and I lost track after of her. But she was wanting to write a story of her life, but she had been taken out of school at age 5 because her father didn't believe girls needed education. And I was going to help her try to write this book. And the best story, she worked for an insurance company in Indianapolis. Went out to her car, got in and was driving. And lesson one, always look in the back seat of your car. She's driving and looks in her rearview mirror, and there's a goat's head in the back of her car. And of course, she wrecks because she's gotten freaked out. And as Paul Harvey used to say, the rest of the story, she was in a diner, and there were some teenage kids in the booth behind her. And they were laughing, and all of a sudden she heard one of them say, "Well, I wonder what happened to that car that we put the goat's head in." And she's a little little short gal anyway. That thing was 5'4", and she stood up on the booth seat and leaned over and said, "That was my car, you assholes." And I got into an accident, and the smell was, I never did get the smell out of my car.
Oh,
She was living in one of the new developments in Indy at the bottom of the hill, and they were still building houses. Her car was parked out front, and there was a heister up the top of the hill, and the brakes failed, and it rolled down the hill and bang into her car. So she had two holes in her car. I tell you, if it weren't for bad luck, she'd have had no luck at all.
yes. I'm very familiar with the phenomenon. If not from personal experience, and then from very close relatives. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I really wanted to help her finish that book, but her husband had to move.
These things they happen.
Hmm.
Um, well, I don't have the almost the end of the show thing to play, but it is
About
almost
four
the end of
minutes.
the show. And well, three.
Yep.
Um,
Now, yes.
really ought to upload that almost the end of the show. It's such a useful thing. I mean, I could take out the intermission in case I need to get up and run in the middle of the show and go down the hall. And basically, I've learned that all I got to do is tell everybody else is here, hey, I'll be back. Y'all on your own. Uh, that's 3 minutes worth right there. I
I could
I
get.
can
I could ask Dawn for her other sock.
her other side.
Do I could do this?
Well, um, actually, I could briefly do um, something I shouldn't, and do
Uh oh.
that, and do this, and then go back to the correct one. And it's fun having ops.
Is it
Um,
though?
yeah, um, especially when other people aren't aware that you're pulling strings behind curtains that aren't even visible. Um, I'm going to have to download that and transfer it to mine. Um, in any case, um, tell folks about Munzie real quick and
Munsey.
where they can figure out how to get started on it.
Munsey. It's Pokemon for old folks, is what some people have said. You find QR codes, you scan them. There, you find yourself scanning QR codes that aren't Munsey, and then cursing because they're not. It's just a real fun show, and you get to know game, and you get to know people. Like we went to Cincinnati for a Munsey event, got to meet some new folks, got to talk to old friends. Going tomorrow for another Munsey event down in Terre Haute. You get
All
around.
right.
Yep. Yeah, it's a good exercise for you. I lost 30 pounds playing it so far. Mm,
Respectable.
yeah,
Is there like a Munzie.com for people to look it up?
probably. If you're on Facebook, there is a Munsey water cooler group. that will help. If you go to Carl Witzman on Lulu.com, he has the Munzie guide for free. No, you ask him for it for free. All he asks is you put a virtual Munzie up in our hometown of Danville.
Very
You
generous.
can play for free. If you want to get the premium membership, it's only $30 a year, which is cheap because if you pay golf, you're easily $100 for an afternoon.
Yeah. And most streaming services, $30 a month.
Hmm.
Um, so I know how much that Donna and Carl and Dawn enjoy this.
Joe and Trey Bachman,
Joe and Trey, Thesis
Thesis
and
and
Foxy.
Foxy,
Um, it seems to be, what was the word Carl used? Infectious.
because it spreads
Uh,
like a disease. I mean, it's a lot of fun. It can be fun. It was not fun driving around Indy and Carl trying to cap virtuals while driving in 70 plus mile an hour traffic, but I was a good wife, kept my mouth shut, and said, "This is where we turn off, honey," when it came time.
hmm
And we're not
uh,
coming back this way.
we may never pass this way again.
No.
Ah, all right, folks. It's 2 hours in. Thank you for being here, Donna. I really appreciate your company. Um, it's been one of those shows. We covered so
Hasn't it
many
though?
things.
Yep.
Yeah. And actually, the viewing audience has gotten a chance to know both of us better. Go to lulu.com, buy all of Aunt Donna's books,
Including
buy
my new one.
including the new one, and buy Carl's books as well. And
And
look around; you might find something else that you're interested in because it's a great site for uh,
or look for us on independentcreatorsdirectory.org,
yes,
indecd.org, or
which
any
is
other
all.
creative you might want to look for.
It's a great resource for creative people. I'm proud to be a member of it, and Donna and Carl and Thesis and Foxy and Michaela and a bunch of other folks that you've probably never heard of or members there. You can find almost everything that they've ever put out in the book or music or artwork fields, and go nuts. It's you can looking up stuff is free.
Hmm.
If you find something that looks interesting, toss a couple of dollars and at whatever website the particular piece of
Creative.
creativity is located. And you know, you may be surprised, you may be amazed, you may wind up being a fan. And that's not a bad thing because we're fun people. And with that, I'm going to advertise Aphelion and then run the end credits.
Good night,
So,
everybody.
good night. Hello, I'm Dan Hollifield. I'm the senior editor and publisher of Aphelion Webzine, the world's oldest free creative writing e-zine since 1997. Since then, we have held over 500 100 amateur writers learn what they needed to turn pro. www.aphelion-webzine.com and read not only what we've got going on right now, but 28 years worth of our archives of stories. Thank you very much.
Transmission overload. System will shut down. System will shut down. System will shut down.